Welcome one, welcome all. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN Esports, whether you're joining us on Twitch, the ESPN app, Twitter, or YouTube. Thank you so much for watching us. Worlds is coming up very, very shortly. We are on the doorstep of the 2020 World Championship in the bubble in Shanghai. And leading up to it, we have so much content and so much to talk to. You can find a lot of it on espn.com/esports and on our YouTube channel. But today, along with Emily and Jacob, we will present to you here live our top 10 plays in World's history. Before we get to that, and also how we judged these plays, Tyler, I know that you happen to be a little bit of an expert as it pertains to music, as it pertains to League of Legends.
Oh, yeah.
You've had now probably, like 400 or 500 listens through Takeover, the 2020 World Song. What is your take on it?
I'm around 127. I'm listening to it right now in the background of this show. I have to. This is what Worlds means to me, Arda. It's the World song. It's the promos. It's the leaked scrims where everyone on Reddit goes crazy over one single game in a random scrim block. Like, this is Worlds, baby. Like, we finally have reached 7 days to go. I'm so excited. Takeover, though. I have to say, Arda, when it first came out, the first time I heard it, the first time I saw it, I was very impressed by the video. It's a ripoff of Rise, but Rise is the best video and song in World Song history. So if you're gonna copy, you copy from the best.
Remember.
Yeah, great song. Rise is the GOAT. Rise is the GOAT. No one's gonna disagree with this. I was mildly disappointed in the song. I didn't think it hit that chorus, that chanting peak that you have with Rise and Phoenix and Legends Never Die. It didn't have that punch moment. But after I've listened to it 127 times, I've come to the conclusion that I really like it. I think it's a really good song.
You sound like all the K-pop fans I know that really love a group and they release a song that they don't like and they're like, okay, so I didn't like it at first, so I listened to it 200 times while I was trying to get them on the melon charts.
128 times. 128.
Okay, so my thought is on this song is that it is not. So people really dislike Ignite, and as someone who has listened to Zed since he was making records on, literally before he won the Beatport remix contest. So if you know anything about his career, he won 2 Beatport remix contests, and that's what vaulted him into fame. It was Swedish House Mafia and Skrillex were the 2 that he won remix contests for. So I've been listening to him before that, back when he was putting out really older records, and so Ignite definitely felt like a throwaway track of his that Riot dug up and put a vocalist over. It just wasn't his level of production. He made it around the same time that he made Clarity, which is a fantastic song in his portfolio. But this song, as bad as Ignite is, Takeover is not as catchy. I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying that Ignite is more catchy than Takeover is.
No.
We have some hot takes.
Yes, it is.
No.
My only thing is
chorus.
I'm so sick of songs not having choruses. Just as a general rule, across all pop music right now, I'm sick of songs that are 5 songs in one, and I'm sick of songs that don't have choruses. That's my only take.
But that's my point about Ignite is I can sing it on the top of my head. It went from a spark to an open vein. It's
Only
super.
person.
You know it.
That's
You know
what
it.
I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying you're not gonna go down the street humming boom 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 boom. You're not gonna do that. Nobody's doing that.
If there wasn't COVID, I would be doing that, Arda.
No, you wouldn't, Tyler.
No, you would
not. He sings world songs in the press room literally all the time.
Oh, I do.
You are really annoying.
Yeah, I can imagine Tyler in a press room. Boom, 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 boom. TSM's getting out of groups. Boom, 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 boom. That's not happening, Tyler. No way. No way.
I wish I was there.
Listen, we're going to have a whole bunch of conversation around world songs on a future stream. This is just a taste because I'm pretty sure at some point in time we're going to have to do a ranking, a definitive one that you will all agree with about the world songs. And we have hot takes, as you can tell. That's going to be a little bit later. That's going to be another time. Right now, we're going to focus on the top plays in world's history. We have put together a top 10. We're going to present it to you throughout the show. But the first thing I want to do, Emily, is I want to set ground rules. I know that we've been a little bit flimsy as it pertains to our top 20, our top teams going in. We've been bringing our own criteria. But for this one, we sort of had a consensus on how we ranked these plays. So how did we rank these plays?
I think, and Jacob and Tyler can correct me on this, but I think what we did is more focused on like how iconic they were and how much they stick in our memories, and just the general like community memory. Because if you're actually going by like, these are definitively the best mechanical plays in the context of their own series, et cetera, I feel like, let's be real, half of them would probably be from that Rocks T1 series, because Worlds is so weird in terms of how it shakes out that often you won't necessarily get the best quality matches when you get to the bracket stage due to the way seeding works. Just throwing that out there, especially when you compare it to some domestic tournaments in like South Korea and China and now Europe, I'd say arguably too. Sorry, North America. But yeah, I think we more focused on like the lasting, like staying power of them, like in our own consciousness. And obviously these are all good mechanical plays as well. So it's not that they aren't, that they're not memorable in that way either. But like, I would say that would kind of sum up the criteria.
I think, some of these, as we sort of dive into them, really, they either like shaped a champion in the way that people understood them at the time. Mm-hmm. They shaped a series. I mean, there's one in here that I'm thinking of in particular. They shaped a series and shaped sort of like a moment, right? Like that Rocks SKT series that you mentioned is like why I did some dubbing for it for another project we're doing with my voiceover, and I was like, this is probably one of the most, this is probably the best series of League of Legends ever, right? Like it just because of the moment that was there. Like teams were uniting in semis, and they were in finals the year before, and like this was a contested series among the two best teams in the world, but in a semifinal in front of tens of thousands of people at Madison Square Garden, the most famous venue in North America. So like, obviously, like this is, I think moments like that are really important to sort of take into account. So I would definitely say iconic is the better word for our top 10, or like the sort of the additional adjective, because there are a lot of like, that player did exactly what they were supposed to do in that moment plays over World's history. But we were asked to narrow down to 10, so here we are with 10.
Tyler, anything to add on how we adjudicated this?
I'm wearing a Spanish headband today for a reason, Arda. There's more Spanish. There's some more Spanish, League of Legends we had in this top 10 list than a North American headband. So that's why.
Who could you ever be talking?
That's why I'm rocking the Spanish headband today, Arda. So
only this top 10 list could sway you away from the North American headband.
I bought many headbands, Arda. There's a lot of countries out there. I mean, I have to have I have to have a diversion when NA gets knocked out of World. So.
Completely understand. All right, without further ado, let's present to you our top 10 plays in League of Legends World Championship history, starting off with number 10.
They know he's not been spotted. They're expecting top jungle. You saw this Vitalik go under the brush. They know Rookie's behind somewhere. When will they find it? What's the play? Forward they go. They might have knocked him down.
Pretty epic.
But is there enough?
80 carry players take some notes.
They ult over the top, and it's already a 2-for-0. Viper doesn't die, but one finally comes through. It's up to Jackie Love, but he gets stunned. Clutch from Tarzan. But
got the kiting, the cleanse, and feather. The most notable thing about this play, by the way, is that it's a 4v5. Chovy is not even there. Like, literally, Griffin is outnumbered. And he is in bot lane, coming up behind the Dragon Pit, walking to mid on Sion, by the way, because he did not ult up into the fight. And they win 4v5, and that's like, Viper puts on like the master class of 80 carry mechanics and kiting in that fight, just one by one. So yeah, this play is it's up there, definitely. For me, it's just like mechanical class of last year. I think Viper was one of the better 80 carries at the event. So against Jackie Love too, who jumps in with full health and gets smashed, who was also one of the best 80 carries at that event.
The Jackie Love jumping in and getting smashed. Yeah. I think this is really cool in context because I feel like Griffin came to this event and there was a lot of external stuff going on at the time, which we were kind of talking about off camera before this began, to, you know, with the team kind of internally imploding and them not looking as good as you would expect in groups. And I think they, like, as good as you expect in terms of, you know, we were going to see if they were an actual title contender, you know. And I think despite everything, I was really happy with the fact that they didn't seem to let it bother them. I think they placed about where they were expected to. And that's kind of some added context to, you know, this team had to go out while there was a ton of other stuff kind of going on around them between their coach and the organization and you know, constant disagreements. And they came out and performed. And this Viper play is just a really insane mechanical play.
This play just bums me out. It kind of reinforces, like, Griffin were supposed to be the next generation. They made 3 straight LCK finals. They had this crazy head coach that he wanted everything to win. You had a prodigy mid laner in Chovy. You had an amazing AD carry in Viper with a partner in Lehens that went together so well. You had the biggest brain jungler since Bengi and Tarzan. Like, you had their sword. But the rest of them really, really great, like, top-end players. And, like, and I remember just how excited it was, like, you know, we've had SKT and KT and Samsung and CJ and all these teams for 6-7 years. And finally we get this, like, new bastion of hope, this new golden generation to bring Korea to the future. This team was supposed to bring Korea to the next generation. And a year removed from this play, it's Damwon. It's the forgotten brother of the rookie teams. Like, Griffin were always the more famous, the most talked about, you know, promoted team, but it's Damwon now who won the domestic title, who have all the hopes of Korea, who play that fast, exciting style that Korean fans have wanted to see for ages since, you know, they've fallen off on the world stage. And Griffin now, look, Tarzan's teamless, probably going to the LPL. Viper and Lehens are on a hapless Hanwha team. Chovy and TV Max got off the ship and went over to DRX and back at Worlds. And then you have Sword who went down with the Griffin ship, and Griffin's now dead. It's a defunct organization. They're gone. They're outside of LCK. They're non-franchising. And just a year ago, they were seen as the possible next generation of LCK in South Korean League of Legends. So this play is really just sad. Like, this is the series that kind of killed Griffin. Like, this series where they put Chovy on 3 tanks in a row against a rookie. Sword got slapped around like a fish against the Shy. And it all
despite how great this play was, this did not end well versus IG.
Yeah, this play is great. It's a technically great play, but just like Griffin, just because you're technically great doesn't mean overall the picture is as stunning as it looks. So, yeah, Griffin now gone forever. So it's really sad. So
it is nice that Chovy was able to, in the subsequent year, ascend to prophet status, and the Church of Chovy is still very strong.
He's a necromancer. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on. His church is full. His church is full of undead, man. Like, dude's bringing him up.
He can't bring Griffin back to life. He
he cannot.
No, he certainly cannot.
That's too tough of a task. So
he can rise Piosik from dead in the jungle and bring back Deft of old, but he cannot bring back Griffin. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, G2 cannot bring back this play. If you are a fan of G2, avert your eyes. Here's number 9.
Coming in now as well.
The Aatrox.
I love this play so much. I remember watching this in South Korea. This was so great. It was great.
Dumb champion, by the way.
It was great, and then, like, this kind of became a meme, you know? Like it's been, like, people just snapshot the Aatrox going in and landing,
Slap.
yeah, just like, and yeah. When I think of IG at this tournament, I actually don't think of any play from their finals. I just think of this fight.
The finals sucked.
Can we roll that one more time? I have a little bit of a punch here to make, and I want to make sure I want to get it right.
They're already dead, Jacob. They're already dead.
So Wadid,
let's just keep dying.
So Wadid and Wonder. Have you ever seen the meme that's just like, you probably wondered how I got here? That would be Wadid and
like,
Wonder. It'd be like
scratch. Like...
that would be Wadid and Wonder at the beginning of this fight. You probably wonder how I got here because Wadid gets hit with Wadid gets hit, and then you just see like the Shy just holding the sword over Wonder, and you're just like, you probably wonder how I got here. And yeah, this is not well. I think this was the moment. This is like to me. This feels like the moment that Perks goes, all right, we're getting back. It's like the Klay Thompson texting. Draymond Green texting Kevin Durant after the finals. That's like this moment's like, we're done. Yeah. Let me text my boy, and it's Caps. He picks up the line. All right, let's figure this out.
I mean, a bit of behind the scenes stuff. Like during this time in Korea, the prevailing rumor was that Team Liquid was on for Caps.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, everyone was connecting on the floor. It was like, oh man, did you hear about Caps going to Team Liquid? It's gonna be Caps to Team Liquid, and then like.
Why does Liquid always end up in these positions?
Serious?
By the way,
I think because like they kind of. I mean, I assume like Worlds is such a great place for people to communicate with each other from other regions.
How close did that get?
No, it was
that actually a serious discussion?
I mean, it was like the number one like off-season rumor while we were still at
because you're literally in a press room with every major esports media artist. So you have China, NA, Europe, Taiwan, Korea. They all talk. And like the year before, for example, like TSM, like everyone knew that Sven and Mithy were going to TSM in China before the tournament was even over. That was like that was the rumor that everyone was talking about. I was like, oh yeah, like TSM kicked Doublelift and Biofrost. It's Sven and Mithy. Like it's already a done deal. And then 2018...
Which I don't understand how Doublelift found that out because DK reported it and he saw it on Reddit. I don't know how that worked because the rest of us had heard it by that point, I think. It's some facet.
So in 2018, it was a very similar story with everyone's like, I think Caps is going Team Liquid. I think Caps is going Team Liquid. Like, Caps is only definitely going to go to Team Liquid. Like, they're going to pay him a boatload of money, like triple salary.
Mm-hmm.
And finals, which like... Yeah, I don't know. Like that was such a weird world in general. But Team Liquid always finds themselves in that position because 2 years before that, in 2016, was the year that Rox was breaking up, and every North American owner like made a point to come to some stage of the event purposely, and it was like Team Liquid's gonna get Smeb, Team Liquid's gonna get Smeb, Immortals is gonna get Gorilla. And like that was the thing, and I'm just like, how does Liquid always end up in this position?
Yeah, Rox Tigers breaking up, right? 2016. That was some quality journalism there. Yeah.
Fun times. But no,
that's a story for another day.
But my point of view in this game was this was the day after Fnatic killed Cloud9 in the semifinals, so I was angry and vindictive, and I was just like, I just wanted IG to just burn everyone. I was just like, take them to Shy, take them Rookie, destroy them all, destroy all Western Hope. If NA can't do it, EU can't do either. Destroy them, IG, destroy them.
Can I ask something? Just I know that this is off topic, but I have to ask. It sounds, Tyler, like through the years in the media room, you're like the NA whipping boy. Like the other media just like pile on you.
It's a fun.
Emily, do you pile on too? Like,
I mean, I don't.
Like deflect this?
So no. My only take is that no one should be ever chanting like USA, USA in the press room. So
that's never
I've yelled at Tyler for that before.
Never chanted USA, USA. Never USA, USA. Maybe double lift, but.
But you have to understand that, like, unfortunately, as much as I personally despise nationalism in nearly every form, one of the things that the World Championship brings with it is similar to the Olympics, right? So, like, you have the LPL media, they're cheering for LPL teams. You have the Korean media, they're cheering for LCK teams. You have, until this year, you had Darius versus Parks with the NAEU, like, insane outfits or whatever they were doing. So, like, I think people get pretty into it. I don't, but I just, like, cry quietly with the KT fans.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'll talk
we'll talk about that later. That was a sad day.
My first Worlds was 2016 in person, at least. It was 2016 in the media tent. I know Emily was there too, working for the Score or Yahoo.
The Chicago tent.
Yeah. and like literally this is outside tent in October in Chicago, which should describe what it felt like. Cold as hell, even with the heat pumped into it. And yeah, like literally like 50% of this tent is Chinese media, and the 50% is everyone else from Korea, Canada, the United States, Europe, etc. And like that tent was so loud every time one of the Chinese teams popped off. It was just like, ah! I was just like, okay, welcome to Worlds. Good time.
We're going to move on to our number 8 entry here. This one's a little bit of a long one. This is a sequence of events here from 2014, but here's our number 8 entry.
We said that OMG needed to put up a fight before inhibitors.
So we're staying in EU, at least with Fnatic. They're facing OMG at the 2014 edition of Worlds.
This game was a tilter on all aspects of the word.
I mean, 2014 OMG is just like a story. There's a lot to unpack with this team. This was the, for those that don't know, this was the Dada 777 Cloud internal thing. This was a team that was like, you know, fully expected to be like one of the best Chinese teams at the beginning of the year, and then you had the EDG, like EDG breaking away from WE, which in and of itself is a whole other story. And yeah, there was just a lot going on in Chinese League of Legends at this time, and it was really sad to see OMG falter on the world stage.
Stop the backs! Stop the backs, Reckless!
This play is so tilting. I feel like Cool is like one of the most underrated or overlooked players in like League of Legends.
I agree.
I feel like
he
like I remember in 2013 it was my first year like writing for League of Legends full time on LL Esports, and I was like, Faker versus Cool, like this is the matchup of these two, like it's like Chovy versus Knight this world, right? Where it's like 8 years ago it was Cool versus Faker, and it was like this hype matchup of the best Chinese and best, you know, Korean team, and it was Faker versus Cool, and OMG actually beat SKT in the first matchup they ever played in the group stage. SKT won the second one in the group stage, and then again 2013 they make semis, 2014 they make semis, and then his legacy just kind of has dipped off. Like it's not like Name, where people laugh when they hear Name's name now. Like he's kind of laughed at now as one of those people who's like, oh, he was great domestically, terrible internationally, where I think his coolness gets forgotten and sucks. He's such a legendary player.
This, like, the thing that makes me the most sad about this OMG lineup is, again, like, they were actually, like, such a good team, and the internal issues that they had basically led to Dada 77 playing a lot of their games at this World Championship over Cloud, who is very obviously the better support. I feel like Dada 77's highlight was, I don't know if people remember this, obviously it's not going to end up on our top plays, but he has this Nami ult that only hits a dead body in Topside River that I can still see in my head to this day. It was just sad. Like, the demise or, like, downfall of this OMG team is really sad.
But that play...
I used to think Going was a god. Like, he was like player I aspired to be. Like,
he was a god.
This team was good. Like, if they just did not, you know, screamed at each other internally and Cloud had been able to play.
They still made top 4. They still made top 4. Like, let's not act like they had, like, a LGD Gaming 2015 debacle. Yeah, they still went very far. They beat Najin White Shield in the quarterfinals. They went pretty far. The Fnatic team also did fine. But this game in general was just such a tilter. I remember watching this.
Wait, this Fnatic team didn't do fine? What?
Oh, yeah, this was the bad Fnatic team. Yeah, this was. Oh yeah, I forgot. This was a bad tournament from Fnatic.
What was quarters at that event? It was TSM Samsung White. It was C9 Samsung Blue.
OMG,
Club EDG and
Royal
Shield
EDG. Yeah.
And Fnatic didn't make it out of groups. Yeah.
White Shield. Yeah, that's correct. But this was like peak XPeke though, which we'll get to in a minute because there's another one here. Wink, wink, not judge. Right. But yeah, this is like peak XPeke. Cyanide though, not so great for him. I think this was one of his last professional matches in league before he decided to become a full-time streamer, because right after this event is when Origin started. And so as an XPK went out on their own, and then they brought in the Huni Rainover roster because they had played Samsung Red and Scrims.
Yeah, another
and
backroom
Samsung
story.
Red.
Yeah.
and found God, 2014 is a mess.
Yeah.
Because this whole idea.
Can I
If I
ask
write a book about League of Legends, ever, it's literally just going to be on the 2014-15 offseason and the global repercussions that it had on esports, as a whole, not just League of Legends, but everywhere.
Can I ask a question? I know that this is off topic, but I'm genuinely curious, and I understand that this is sort of a noob question. Please bear with me. Why were there so many Samsungs?
Because they were allowed sister teams.
Yeah,
So everyone had two, and then they usually had a third. Everyone could have two, so there were two SKTs. Obviously, there was T1K, which is the faker team, which is the more famous of the two. There was T1S, which is Bang was on originally, if I'm not mistaken, before he was before the merger. And then they usually had a training squad, which was Samsung Red. So what happened in 2014 was that LMQ was a part of the Royal Club organization in China, and then they sent these players to North America. This was before the interregional movement policy was enacted. They sent these players to North America. They qualified for Challenger via ladder, and then they played the Challenger Series. They won the Challenger Series, and they played the LCS, and the entire team was 5 Chinese players in their first split. And not high tier Chinese players. These guys could have been okay in LPL, I think, at the time, but not top LPL players. They qualify for Worlds actually that year in third place. They beat Curse, which is now Liquid. And the idea was that Samsung's training team, which had Huni on it at the time, and no one really knew who he was. I think he played mid too at the time and transitioned to top for Fnatic. The idea was that Samsung was going to send a team to North America that contained Huni and a few other players to qualify the same way LMQ did. And then the interregional movement policy came down. But as it came down and blocked such a move, all the Samsung teams and several of the other top Korean players got big fat paychecks to go play in China, and they all moved there. Yeah.
I'll add, Arda, for your clarification, since you were asking why or why would you have multiple teams. Back at the League of Legends infancy in South Korea, Coach Kong, who was at the time the coach of Maximum Impact Gaming, basically in an OGN invitational, scouted another team and put them under the same organization. And the idea is that you have two teams that are internally developing strategies to go against each other. And then they both enter the same tournament, and they both have very different play styles. You saw this. Those teams actually became Azubu Frost and Blaze and then CJNTS Frost and Blaze. Samsung White and Blue at the 2014 championship is by far the best use of sister teams that I've ever seen. And after this year, Riot said no more sister teams because there is too much. There's too many. Even though no one as far as we know, no one ever internally match fixed, but they were still really concerned about what match fixing had done to the StarCraft competitive scene, and so they were like, we don't want any doubt when
no collusion
each other. Yeah, because actually this same year, there was a lot of speculation that was proven false, I think. If you just, and I've written a giant article about this previously, but if you just look at the metagame and the way it changed to double jungle in 2014, I think you can definitively say that SKTS and SKTK were not colluding when they were put in the same group. There was just a drastic meta shift that really affected SKTK and S. However, I think that because there were so many people that were speculating about that match, and they were like, gee, I don't know, they definitely want K to get out over, it just eliminating sister teams. I'm still really sad about sister teams being eliminated, in case you couldn't tell from this rant. But yeah, after 2014, that was another thing that changed the competitive landscape in Korea, was that sister teams, they were like, we don't want any chatter about this. We're done.
So
I think
this
that's
could
a
be
good
a whole
transition to
conversation.
our next play, right? Because the next play is the two sister teams.
How about that? And it's also one of many, possibly many, 1v1 plays on our top 10 list. So let's get to number 7. This is from 2014, and you got a good old 1v1 between Spirit and Dandy. Let's take a look.
I love
the
this.
the two best junglers in the world at this time. I think it's hard to argue. I think everybody had an opinion on which one was better, but watch this.
I mean, there was Cacao. Cacao was up there too, but he didn't make Worlds because the KT Heroes choked. So, RIP.
Well, he's at Worlds this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, Cacao's made it.
Representing the Owl.
It's not.
This play is just a classic short like 1v1 outplay. It really doesn't have any impact on the game. But I think the context to like piggyback on what I was talking about with sister teams is that a lot of people were looking at Samsung White and they were looking at Dandy specifically, and they were like, this is obviously like one of, if not the best mechanical jungler in the world, in addition to being the smartest and having a really huge impact on the way jungle was played. And you had Samsung Blue, which is more of like a standard 5v5 team fighting team. Deft hadn't really learned as much lane proficiency as he has now. He kind of learned how to be a really good laner when he was in China on BDG. At this time, he was actually known for kind of dying early, and then the team would kind of sit back, wait, have him scale up, and then have these insanely coordinated 5v5 fights. But a lot of people suspected throughout the year, they're like, maybe Samsung White's a better team. They definitely have the better mechanical players, like top down individually, but Samsung Blue kept stopping them in semifinals twice. And they went on to the World Championship, and this was kind of like Samsung White's revenge tour against everyone had been saying that they were a worse team, and also against their own sister team that had stopped them from winning Champions Korea in spring and in summer.
This play, if you Daniel's going to run it for us again because I messaged him about it. This is Rengar and Kha'Zix obviously have like in-game lines and like objectives at this point, but as Kha'Zix hops out of the bush, Spirit hops out of the bush, right? Or Rengar, Dandy, W's at the perfect time. If there was a way for us to freeze frame that, I would, because like he W's and Rengar's W gets you back life based on how many things it hits, monsters, champions, whatever else. And so he W's mid-air in the Kha'Zix jumps, like he's over him, but not intargetable, because the Kha'Zix jump does not make you intargetable. You can still get Thresh hooked or Nautilus hooked or whatever else while you're in it. And mid-air, Dandy gets off that W and gets enough lifesteal to survive that play. That is that's insane. And also in this series, by the way, and even in the final and in the quarterfinal, Samsung White kind of trolled and they definitely gave TSM a game by trolling. And Royal got a game too that was a little questionable play on them in the final. This series was a 3-0 because all year Samsung Blue had been whipping Samsung White's ass in Champions, and I think Samsung White was like, all right, we're not even going to give them a chance. We're going to step on their neck. We are the better of the teams. We're going to step on their neck and we're going to choke them out, and that's exactly what happened. White 3-0'd this series. They 3-1'd every other series of playoffs, losing to TSM also in one of those. And yeah, I think it was just like literally just like, stone face, we will not lose to our sister team even once to give them a shot. Yeah, because they would just pick like silly things in draft. That was their whole thing, was they would play some really like off-kilter compositions. Also at this World Championship, Blue and White, at least before it, Blue and White only scrimmed each other, Alliance and TSM. Those were the teams they scrimmed. They refused to scrim everyone else. So they, and I talked to Froggen a few weeks ago, and he was like, our record against White was like 3-21. He's like, we won in 3 games, Alliance. We won 3, and we lost 21
Bucks, baby.
Well, I interviewed Bjergsen for the same feature we're doing, and he said, like the coolest thing about 2014 Worlds is that TSM was the main training partner for Samsung White, and they went 25-3 against them. And the 3 ones they won were all miracle, like team fight, like Samsung White was screwing around wins. So Samsung White just destroyed everyone in that tournament. There was a tweet thread yesterday, and the question was asked, well, who had the most dominate, like single person performance at Worlds? And I think the obvious answer is Faker 2017. I think Faker literally dragged his team with his Galio play to the World Finals that year. He was out of his mind that entire tournament. But I think number 2 behind 2017 Faker was 2014 Dandy, because Dandy just ripped through people this tournament. Him and Mata just before they changed the vision rules. This was it was just them just kind of styling on everyone, and especially with Rengar when they were denying vision everywhere on the map, and he could just jump out from the darkness and just kill people instantly. It was a sight to behold. Like 2014, Samsung White was on five different levels.
I think Samsung White is the best team the World Championship has ever seen. Period. Like, we've had some really good teams. I'm not taking away from anyone. But, like, if this team would have continued, they very much could have been a back-to-back in the right situation, if not for Chinese billionaires writing fat checks to lure all of them, across to China. You look at the SKT teams, and there are always, like, 1 or 2 weak links that stand out. Obviously, Faker himself has been a god at every time they've won a championship. Like, he's playing out of his mind, and he does have some support, too. Like, I'm not saying he's by himself. Like, the year that they won in 16, I remember Bang and Bangy were both very good. And Martin played fairly well, too. But I think in terms of, like, every player being top of their game, like, White was that for me. Like, everybody was something. Maybe the exception of Looper, but, like, Looper had his question mark moments, but almost everybody on that team was top of their role.
Yeah, before they changed the vision control and how vision worked in the game, kind of nerfing
Mata literally would step on people's necks with wards. Yeah. Like, dude was oppressive.
Samsung White and SKT 15 are the 2 best world teams of all time, and you can have that discussion for hours on end between the Marin Faker 15 team or the 2014.
We're not going to have that conversation here though, because we got to move on. We got to move on to because we still have 6 plays to show you. So let's just get to play number 6 right now. This is our earliest entry. Daniel, you can go ahead and roll it. This is from 2012. It is the Toys Orianna play.
Harkening back to the old days, this is one of our few older clips in the ranking. No offense. Rose-colored glasses be damned. A lot of the older League of Legends isn't the most appeasing to the eye, especially Season 1. Spoilers, there's no Season 1 plays on this ranking because Season 1 was trash. Like, it was really unfun to watch, but the TPA story is still one of the greatest stories in League of Legends. They are the only true Cinderella world champion we've had. I feel like even, there's been any other surprise champion. Like, I think IG...
Well, so the whole reason they're a surprise champion, though, is because they ended up playing in a GG Chronicle tournament that Monty hosted that literally was on NA server, and these guys were playing on, near 200 ping from Taiwan. That's why, and they got wrecked because they're playing on, 200 ping against players who are in Los Angeles on much lower ping, and everybody was like, well, they suck because they lost in this one online tournament, and it's just like, meh. They're
dueling scrim rumors about TPA, where people are the teams that face them from South Korea were this team is dangerous, despite the fact that TPA themselves and several members have come out and said this in multiple interviews in years since, said that they did not win a lot of games, so they were not expecting a lot from themselves in terms of results. One of the things I do want to point out, because we always remember Toys' Orianna for this, because it really took over the way that you had to approach TPA because he was so good at that champion. Another thing that I want to point out in their Moscow 5 series leading into the actual World's Finals is that Stanley came out with this TP top Nidalee. Which at the time, TP is now standard on top laners, if not taken in multiple roles. But at this World Championship, there was only I think 1 triple TP comp, and it came from CLG. I'm doing several Worlds meta articles, so I just watched these games the other day again. But Stanley's TP top lane Nidalee was weirdly unheard of at the time, and Nidalee was not she had just received buffs prior to this world. So sorry, my neighbor's dogs are barking.
Yeah, this was the first world championship. People were like, the Koreans are going to wreck everyone, right? Frost was hunkering over everyone, and then it was M5 CLG EU, right? Froggen told me a story about going to Taiwan I don't think we're going to use this for the article, but he talked to me about it. Going to Taiwan to play against TPA before the OGN finals, because this was pre-LCS, so some of the European teams were playing in, and American teams were playing in OGN in Korea. And they went to Taiwan. They traveled from Korea to Taiwan to scrim with TPA before they played in the OGN final. And these players were incredibly famous because they were the biggest team out of the Taiwanese region. To the point where like they had a show match versus CLGU in a shopping mall, and Froggen was like, people were in the elevators because they couldn't get a seat to watch. People were like in the elevators of this mall going up and down repeatedly in the elevator just to be able to see the game because there was no standing room anymore. And he's like Taiwanese security like had to like move us from place to place, and Froggen's like, we're just used to like fans being like an 8-hour commitment or whatever. And he's like, what's the big deal, right? Like I didn't think I was in danger with all these people around me, like. And so like people knew that TPA was good if you actually played against them privately and in the scrims. But like from talking to Froggen and Rapid Star over the past few weeks, like it very much was like, Moscow 5 and Frost were like the teams everyone was talking about publicly because of that one GG Chronicle tournament where TPA played on 200 ping and sucked. And people kind of just wrote them off, even though privately they were doing quite well.
So this is a little bit of a last point on this, Emily. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think that Frost and like players on Frost and players on especially Moscow 5 had a really they were kind of ahead of their time in terms of understanding like certain things about the game. Like this is when WE's Wei Xiao was coming up and kind of defining what the AD carry position could be with how to control like minion waves with Ezreal. Then you had Diamond Prox of Moscow 5 who basically like not invented counter jungling, but he was the most high-profile jungler at the time that came out with a counter jungling kind of strategy. And so that's why you had these teams who were like, it was a really innovative, like cool time where a lot of fundamentals that we think of as like, second nature, even in solo queue, were kind of being invented at international events like this.
So we've alluded to this, so I'm just going to give a little bit of a tease of what's coming up editorially on our website, espn.com/esports. We have a lot of giant features and pieces coming. And as you've heard, we've been talking with a lot of people, whether it's players, executives, etc. That's all I'm going to say about it. But we just know that we are all very excited about what we will be able to present to you in terms of content coming up throughout the 2020 League of Legends World Championship, but including this stream, which we're giving you our top 10 list of throughout
a little bit of nostalgia at this time of the year, for sure.
Exactly. So let's move on to our top 5. And wouldn't you know it, NA has made the top 5, Tyler. And what is a top 10 list? What is a top 10 list without a Baron steal? Daniel, go ahead and roll it. Tyler, take us through this one.
I was in the venue. I was in the attendance for this magical moment. I remember going around the press rooms, and as you were saying, I was the NA whipping boy, and I'm looking contested. I got Afrika in the bracket. C9 was going to win that series, and people doubted me. They said, "There's no way Afrika is going to lose to C9. There's no way a Korean team can lose to C9 in a bracket stage match. There was no way NA could make the semifinals." And then we have Licorice bopping through with the one punch on.
Wait, does that Daniel, can you roll that again? Does it show items? I'm curious if he has a gauntlet in that, because I'm curious if he had Sheen proc to hit that Baron a little bit harder. It doesn't show items. Okay, I need to go back and look.
Can we
I'm curious.
While this is rolling, can we please watch Licorice's reaction to actually pulling this off? So he pulls it off here. Now watch Licorice. Hang on.
Does he hit anything before?
So he gets it right here. Okay. Slowed down. There's the punch,
right? Am I not?
It, but watch his face now.
Yeah.
Watch his face. Watch it right here.
Chuggle.
Oh, it feels good.
I got it.
Well, I mean, at this point, giving context, they're up 2-0. They smashed Afrika in both games. They are so far ahead of what the meta is against what Afrika is playing. It's not even a contest at this point. The fans are getting jilted in the stadium. The Korean fans are getting quieter and quieter. I'm in the back. I'm getting more confident by the second. I had a few friends try to come sit with me. I'm like, no, I must sit here alone. Bad juju, superstition. I must sit in the seat. No one can sit by me. Gotta lock in. I gotta watch this game. it was. Aside from IG losing to Team Liquid, besides that, this is the greatest NA moment internationally we've had ever. Like this was the moment where NA got respect for once. Where I remember going from that series, people were like, "C9 is a really good team. They smashed Africa. There was no fluke about it." I was so excited, and then we had Fnatic versus C9, where everyone's like, "Oh man, this could be pretty even." Like Fnatic is a bit ahead, but this could be a really close series. But we don't want to talk about that semifinal. I don't really remember what happened. It doesn't really matter. Licorice in the one-punch Ornn, that's all that really matters in this situation. So good job, Licorice, top 5. All that matters. It was a beautiful tournament for North America. I don't even remember what happened in that semifinal. It was nothing.
I mean, this is a huge year for Licorice in general because he you got to remember the expectations that existed for him because this was the offseason before this when he had been in E United and Challenger and was part of C9 before that as a sub in their tier system or whatever else you want to call it. But he was replacing Impact, and Impact signed that $3+ million deal over 3 years with Liquid, massive salary for Impact. I think it was 3.4 over 3. So Impact left C9 obviously because he got the bag, and they brought in Licorice, and people are like, "Who's this guy?" He played in Challenger and E United was one of the best teams at the time. Speaking of Dandy, was on that team also. But people were railing, kind of like they have been with Sven replacing Sneaky. We're railing on C9 for making this roster change and not matching Impact's massive Liquid offer, and that's when Liquid built the super team, but C9 made it farther at Worlds, even though Liquid paid hand over fist for all those players.
I think my favorite thing about C9 at this World Championship, because I did an article, a feature with them, where I rode the train from Seoul to Busan, and with the team. It was very entertaining, and I interviewed them during it. Is that when they were talking to me about coming to this World Championship and their initial scrims, because they were in the play-in stage, first of all, and people at that time thought after their Gambit series, they were like, wow, this team is going to be really bad. And then apparently they were telling me that when they got to, when they first arrived in Korea, they were scrimming everyone, but but Vitality actually ended up being one of their scrim partners before they ended up in Vitality's group. And both of them were just facing each other when they got there, and they were both so bad that neither team knew, they were we're either really good or really terrible because we have no idea what is even going on in these scrims. And the meta shift that happened at that World Championship was really, really fascinating, and something that C9 caught on to alongside other teams, but and was able to adjust and accordingly, because they were if people remember, they were placed in a group with RNG, who had won literally everything before this tournament, and Samsung, who were the reigning world champions at the time. So no one was expecting C9 to get out of this group. They, especially with both C9 and Vitality saying that their scrims were kind of terrible, everyone was just yeah, this team's not getting out, and then they made semifinals.
We're short on time, and we still have 4 plays to go, so let's see how fast we can get through our top 4 plays here. Here's number 4. What's a top 10 list all time at Worlds without a good old-fashioned base race, right, Jacob?
Oh,
This one.
No, give this Emily the table here. Give Emily the table here. This was Emily's worst day ever. This was the saddest I've ever seen. Emily I'm usually the biased one, where I'm NA and I'm excited for matches, I'm cheering and I'm clapping. Emily's usually stonewalled. This was the only time I've ever seen her physically affected from a series ever.
I mean, KT is my team, right? And so I think the big thing that happened when I was at this Worlds is kind of how Tyler was saying, he didn't want anyone to sit around him from press in the theater. I actually went and stood behind the KT fan contingent, so they had the big KT roster flags, and we were all collectively experiencing a lot of things together. This base race was so close that everyone, the teams, like reacted late because they didn't immediately react because they didn't know. And then it was late to come up, like who won was late to come up behind. So there was just this delay where everyone is just waiting and like holding their breath to see who even won this game, because otherwise KT is like completely out of the series. And spoilers, they did lose the series. But the other cool thing that happened after this is because previously it looked really dire for KT. No one could stop the Shy's split pushing. They had like no answer for this. And after KT managed to like miraculously win this game after the space race, as they were walking off, like again, it went silent and then the crowd like exploded. And then as they were walking off, like previously the fans had kind of quieted down because KT was not looking so hot. They just like some person just started yelling like KT fighting, and there was just like this rolling wave of like KT cheers. That was really great. Like it was sad for me. I'm still like getting emotional about it now because like again, KT is the only team that I really have a lot of emotional investment behind because they're so tied to how I got into League of Legends competitive in the first place. But yeah, it was a great moment to be a part of live, and RIP KT 2018.
Well, Faker was definitely going to appear on this list somewhere. Definitely not in his favor as we get to our number 3 clip here. Daniel, feel free to roll it. This is the Ruler Flash Varus All-Team Faker in 2017, Tyler.
I remember I was in the press room in Beijing in the Bird's Nest, and I wasn't in the crowd for this because I, in my heart, believed that SKT would find a way to win. I was like, there's no way SKT and Faker who dragged SKT through RNG in the semifinals with his Galio play was going to die like this. There was no way in my mind I could even fathom that SKT would get 3-0'd in the final. And then I look up and I see this play happen, and my heart is like, there's no way. It can't happen this way. And then in an instant, the series is over, and it's 3-0, and the crowd is like it was eerie. It was an eerie scene, like walking out, and there's 50,000 people after this play, and they're primarily SKT fans because if you don't know, China loves Faker. They love SKT. It's like their secondary team when any of the Chinese teams are out. And Ruler comes through with one of the most clutch plays in League of Legends history. And the moment I'll never forget from this night is I walk out to at Samsung, celebrating their first championship, and every person in the arena, everyone in the stadium is chanting RNG, RNG, RNG. And it was like, they're not chanting Samsung, they're not chanting SKT, they're chanting RNG because RNG beat Samsung twice in the group stage, and they should have beaten SKT in the semifinal, and that should have been RNG's moment, but it was a delirious day. 50,000 people, Ruler coming in big. It was the day we saw the old unkillable Demon King finally killed. It was the day that Faker became mortal, and obviously now we've seen him again this year lose in the regional finals and not make Worlds again, and this was really the first day we saw emotion from Faker, and that he's not this perfect android being, and he's a multifaceted human. So, yeah, not like maybe not the most mechanically gifted play of all time, but it's an iconic play because it's the end of the SKT dynasty that we knew of.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts before we move on this one? Very iconic moment.
Also, on the RNG thing, Samsung credited RNG as their scrim partners, not just this year, but the previous year. Like every time in 2017 or 2016 rather, sorry, they also credited RNG for helping them prepare and teaching them how to team fight better, which I thought was funny.
Jacob, I'm going to give you number 2. This is our runner-up play in our top 10 list of iconic Worlds plays in history. And it has to do with Erzberger. You've been talking about Erzberger a little bit here. We're going to dial it back to 2014. Roll it. Here is number 2. It is a 1v1 and a very good one.
This play, I did a dub of this recently too, and Erzberger goes over the wall and he doesn't actually know Dade is there. Like he shadows over because you see him. He's going to shuriken the golem. We may have to run this twice, but he's going to shuriken the golem because he doesn't know he's there, and then Dade hops onto him with a silence, and just like the mechanics in this is insane. Like he flashes and hits another shuriken right before the death mark pops and kills him. Both use ignite. There's one point here where Xpeke ends up auto attacking the golem once just for enough lifesteal to live, right? Because he lives with a sliver of health. Like this is one of the most incredible plays in World's history, in my opinion. Peak time for both Xpeke and Dade. I think both of them were at their best form here at this World Championship, even though Fnatic themselves did not do that well. But overall, though, like Xpeke was fantastic that year. 2015 also when Origin went to the semis. But yeah, like incredible play here and a highly assassin meta. There were a ton of assassins at this World Championship, and you get to see the assassin 1v1 here, which I really like a lot. So,
anything to add, either Tyler or Emily, on that one? Iconic play.
Just a sick play. Like maybe it's not as iconic as the ruler moment. That it has more ramification overall. But when it comes down to just pure skill of like similar to like the Faker play versus Ryu. Like this is a play that you show people and they go, "What the hell is going on? I'm intrigued. I want to learn more." Right? Where for the ruler play, you need context, and in a lot of these plays, you need context of why this moment's so big or amazing. This is just a play where you can show this to anyone. It looks dazzling. It looks crazy, and it looks like something you want to learn more about. So, in just terms of like wow, jaw breaking, like ankle breaking, like a play where you would want to show just casuals to kind of get them into the game, or like kind of give them a tease of like what the highest level League of Legends could be mechanical wise. You show them this play. It's a fantastic play.
Emily, I believe that if you were going to show anybody a play, even if they don't watch League of Legends, from this list, it's definitely number one. From the downest of towns, the famed 2016 Ash Arrow will top anyone's list of iconic plays. Talk us through this one, Emily.
So I think there's like if you're rating Worlds plays, that I feel like there's no way that this isn't number one. Like I said, if we're doing entire mechanical, just like a lot of raw mechanical skill outplays, you have like the Faker escape in this series. You have the top lane play with Peanut and Prey. But this one with Prey's Ash he had like a career resurgence in 2015 that then extended to him being like the best AD carry in the world, or one of the best AD carries in the world in 2016, where people thought he was going to retire. Like they thought he was washed. And this Ash and the way he used not just Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but Vision, like Hawkshot to scout for Vision, really changed the way that people looked at Ash and really, hurt opposing junglers with the way he controlled Vision and set the tone for other AD carries to follow suit. This Ash Arrow is just like such a heads up play. I love like just watching this series over and over and over again. It's by far the best series that we've seen, I think, from a world championship at all, ever. And just because of the context, because of the plays, because of how people did, this was just an insane series. I'm so glad I was here to watch it. I was in New York to watch it live. And yeah, like there's nothing to say except like this is just it shows such a strong understanding of like how to control the map that Prey really established on this specific pick.
All the way, that's amazing. All the way, the
so
entire length of Summoner's Rift. Exactly.
It's the greatest series of all time.
About this one, though, is that Duke actually expects that so Prey does have to guess just a little bit because Duke moves. He starts to recall, and then he repositions to try to get out of vision of the minions, so he doesn't get hit with an arrow. So he knows it may come, and he still gets hit with the arrow. Which that's icing on the cake. Like Duke had the forethought that this could be a thing, and still got hit with it.
So those are our top 10 plays from the first 9 editions of Worlds. And of course, we have 2020 Worlds coming up. And that means we have some great programming coming up here on ESPN Esports. The League of Legends World Championship is fastly approaching, and even just from the circumstances surrounding Worlds this year, 2020 in Shanghai will certainly be one of the most surreal and extraordinary tournaments in history, and we haven't even played a single game yet. So join Tyler and I every step of the way on Wake Up Worlds. Whether you're up all night watching every second of the game, or you want one place to get caught up on absolutely everything, ESPN Esports will be there with you until a world champion is crowned. Tyler, you and I are going to be partners in crime for the next month on this show. How you feeling?
I'm switching my sleep schedule as is. I'm going to be waking up at like 10 p.m. my time for 1 a.m. start times. It's going to be psychotic. I'm usually on the ground floor for these events. I've been to the last 4 World Championships dating back to 2016 with the SK series. Sadly, because of the quarantine, I will not be able to get inside the bubble. I tried. I wanted to get in. I asked them. I begged. I tried my best. I did everything I could to get inside the bubble.
And you're like, yo, let me in.
Let me into the bubble, please. They denied me though. So this will be the best thing. If you've ever wanted to see a man die inside daily as his teams get beaten up, watch Wake Up Worlds, because you're going to see me in real time be very optimistic with Team Liquid and FlyQuest and TSM, and every time they lose, please come watch Wake Up Worlds, because there will be more tears coming down my face.
As someone who has watched Tyler in press rooms since 2016, I can attest that it's highly entertaining.
There's gonna be a lot of gifable moments. There's gonna be a lot of laughter. A lot of people will be laughing at me in chat, but it's gonna be a really fun.
They're not laughing at you, Tower. They're laughing with you.
No, with you. It's gonna be like the Simpsons with the Ralph Wiggum. It's like you can pinpoint the exact moment his heart breaks in half.
Yeah.
That's Tyler and NA.
My heart is gonna be breaking sometime this World Championship. It might not be in play-ins. It might not be in groups. Well, okay, it's gonna be in groups, but it's gonna be a wild ride. I'm gonna be on a different sleep schedule. It's gonna be me and Arda every single day. I've wanted to do a World show for forever. I want to be here. I want to connect with you guys. There's nothing like Worlds, and there's nothing like laughing at me watching my teams lose at Worlds. So Wake Up Worlds is gonna be a really fun show.
Well, that does it for this show, and there's going to be plenty more programming, whether it's video or written content, ESPN.com/esports. Trust me, we're all very excited for what's coming up. We have some really meaty pieces, some long-form writing that we have done. It's going to be fantastic. I really hope that you check it out. Again, ESPN.com/esports, and whether you're watching us on Twitch, on Twitter, on the ESPN app, or on YouTube, we thank you very much. There's going to be plenty more programming as we get set to cover the 2020 Legends World Championship in the Shanghai bubble. And if you missed any of our top 10 plays here, well, don't worry. We're going to play them for you right now. So long.
I believe in you, North America.
They know he's not been spotted. They're expecting top jungle. You saw this Vitalin go under the brush. They know Rookie's behind somewhere. When will they find it? What's the play? Forward they go. They might have knocked him down. Puts down the pool, but is there enough damage? They're going to try. They ult over the top, and it's already a 2 for 0. Viper doesn't die, but one finally comes through. It's up to Jackie Love, but he gets stunned. Clutch from Tarzan, but Morgana can't find it either. Viper stays alive. That's the full pentakill when they needed it most.
But it's 1 versus 2. Perks coming in now as well. Ning taken very low, likely going to be killed to start this fight off. Would did able to find some CC on the multiple people. Balon now going to be the target of the Vanguard's edge. Wonder trying to make something happen, but G2 looks like they just want to disengage this one now. They already got the pick onto the enemy jungler. So many people! That's the Aatrox damage, and the Shy makes it happen.
The Shy finds everyone there. Rookie still hunting.
Oh, Rookie makes it a double kill for himself. He cleans up Perks, and tragedy strikes for the EU LCS representatives. Rookie will continue, but out of mana means he's out of time to continue the chase.
We said that OMG needed to put up a fight before inhibitors all go down. And at the very worst case, they'd have to do it before that third inhibitor. Zed is a god.
And he's getting the kill as well. That gives him the rampage. And if you can stop Peke from recalling, the last man left alive here for Fnatic.
I don't know.
Can push. I mean,
they're gonna. It's up. They are pushing in for the final one. It took 65 minutes to get onto the Nexus turrets. Both OMG's Nexus turrets are down, but somehow still very cool. Eats a shot. He goes down. That was an execution, but it doesn't matter.
matter. The time is still 70 seconds, and somehow Peke, by himself, staves off an entire team.
And again, this game, do you think it's going to be over? There's Soaz. It's what a rumble.
Soaz,
Oh my
TP
God.
to the top. He's going to go for the Nexus here as well. Soaz trying to be the hero. The recall's coming in, but Soaz is on it. One goes back, the rest come in.
He's not going to get it.
Down. I don't think he's got the damage here, but the Super Minions are coming in. I say he's not got the damage for the Nexus. He's down to half his speed. He's already used his plan, and he will end up falling down.
Yeah, but they're playing the stop the recall game, and Reckless is on the heels right
Stop
now.
the recall.
Living artillery, he's gonna stop Sign, he has to. One of the big damage dealers, Going's gonna make it in. Peke's there. Here comes Cyanide as well on the end. They're focused on the Guardian Angel Lasagnas. Can Cyanide slip in as the spike
Oh
runs
my
this one?
God.
Will they be able to get it? Peke up from the Guardian Angel. A few more hits. Will this really happen?
They didn't get it.
Oh my God, they saved the Nexus. It's Yellowstar trying to get in. Inhibitors are spawning left and right. The top one has still come up, but OMG also stopped their Nexus from going down.
I've never seen a professional game this close down the stretch. Everyone is expecting it's Fnatic. They're going to finish it from defeat. May actually have the upper hand again.
Well, the Baron is going to go to
Nexus attempt.
say often. Oh, down again, he's stunned up.
There it is.
Are they going to dump on two? Yellowstar taking a lot back, but Nana is down. Reckless gets the kill, but here comes the dive onto Reckless, but he gets away. Back to the use of that Quicksilver Sash. Cyanide going to get his GA pop. Can they follow up from this one? He's going to flash away. Actually will escape, but that bottom in him's going down.
Reckless flashed away when he put the Bio Arcane Barrage on. That's when he's doing the long-range damage. He has not been able to hit auto attacks despite San over the wall with his flash.
Out this game, because if they got into another fight while they're down 2 inhibitors, they may lose. They're trying to use this one death time of Dada to end it, but OMG isn't going to let it happen.
Oh, the flag from Go-Go, they're going for Reckless. That knocks down, shut down here by Lovely. Who's the next target? Soaz is in between them, but they're going for Yellowstar. Second man down, make that third and fourth. Peke will fall. 8 for OMG, and that's going to be the game.
71 minutes.
First in that fight for the down Guardian Angels on the side of Fnatic. Spirit with a nice jump to the back. He could have that reset to get out, but the man is quite low. Dandy's trying to get the fight on. Has Fizzin in the brush. Now into the base. Dade goes down. Matza's going to pick up doubles there. Tries to throw a tornado. Oh! He cuts him down. More. Oh, Gadget taking so much damage from Stanley, but he's able to trade it back here. He may have enough mana to get this. That W is still on. Throws out the living artillery, but here goes BB. Slams him against the wall. The Yorick ulti is on, so he will come back to life, but he's instantly brought back down again. Trying to stay in this fight. It is going to be Diamond Procs going down. A huge initiation for BB, and he finally falls. The shutdown going to Darian in this fight. Alex East's chrono shift is down. Darian there to keep that pressure on. Gosu can lock them down on the turret. Stanley gets out of that, and it's just huge pressure from Taipei Assassins right now. Darian is, however, able to clean up a few kills for his team. It's now 3-3, or 4-3 now. Finally, the last auto attack and double kill for Toys. The ace on the Moscow 5.
He almost killed Lil Boz by running a freaking bomb into him. This game is only 1,000 gold apart. This replay brought to you by Ace of Predator.
But this is just a pure donation. There's no unsealed spellbook to smite away. They get a lot of damage onto Spirit, and look at how Licorice assassinates him in the back line. And when it comes to this play, all the cannonballs are coming in. Kramer turns onto Licorice. If you're watching, Licorice waits, he waits, and then at 16 HP,
he just punched
the Baron.
He punched the Baron. What can't Licorice do?
This is going to be your game-ending push one way or the other. It's KT going to the base. It's going to be a base race. Nexus turret number 1, taking down to half HP. KT looking to end it right here, right now. Ning taken down to half. It's Shy versus Snem in the base at the same time. Otto's going to be taken very low. Ucal barely going to be kept alive. Score taken down to one corner. Smem's nearly going to be killed now as well. Def taken so low. The Blade Caller's not able to find him. Def goes to the killing spree. It's the Shy still in the base. It's KT. Stand and fight if they can. The Shy has made his way onto the inhibitor turret, onto the Nexus turret. They're going to be taken down. KT still marching. It's a base race. The Shy's onto the blue Nexus. KT's onto the red. Who's going to win? The Shy will not. And KT takes it to game 4.
Holy crap! They won the top side 4v4 with Baron buff on. KT mount the comeback in the series, or does Samsung Galaxy get the comeback in the game to close it out 3-0? Killer on Kuba, he backs off. Mid lane priority right now. I want to see vision because I don't think Samsung Galaxy can see much of that SKT River up there. But they can always pressure mid. Looking at it now is Ambition, getting the slow onto Huni. Shot back by Bank, who is to hold to the front line. And Samsung Galaxy push mid first. You can see the flash ult. They've caught Baker. They've got the CC. The mid laner is down. The unkillable Demon King has done his life as Ruler stays in, life stealing. In the back line, they found more as Huni does not have a way out. Pops the ult, but he has no exit route. 2 more autos will kill him down, but he gets to run away. They twitch to their aggro. They knock down Wolf instead. 5v3 in mid.
In the moment of doom, they flash on Baker, and they take out the heart of SK Telecom. Baker had no flash when the fight started. They knew that, so they used everything to kill him.
A game-winning pick, a championship-winning pick for Ruler. That might be the Flash R that signals the end of the SKT dynasty. There are no turrets. It is 5 versus 3. Huni, do you have what it takes to win the game? Big certainly does not. Ruler on the Nexus. The upset is complete as the kills come through. The SKT dynasty is over. All hail the new kings. Samsung Galaxy, your 2017 World Champions!
And this would be the point in the game where Hart needs to bring people into fights. Def just finishes Trinity Force. Dade's got
shadow used.
Brutalizer. It's all about finding.
Mark going down, but is it going to be enough? Dade is going to be. Oh! Becky, the ignite, not enough to finish off either. The burst, just enough to get Becky the kill and survive.
What a pure outplay from Peke. Should be a kill onto the Rocks Tigers jungler.
But he's just buying time. Yeah, pushing the bottom side. This is what SKT is trying to punish. They're going to get the inhibitor.
Gorilla putting down 5 damage auto attacks, doing what he can to keep mid lane alive because top and Hib has been killed, and they even got the pick off on Bang.
Rox doesn't actually have to stop pushing right now. They can delay the recalls. The arrows. Look at the arrow. Get teleport.
He's gonna stop it out. He's stopped, dude. Which means they can push. It's now on Wolf. It's a